This is the story of a woman who vanished from the safest place you can imagine. Her own home, right in the middle of a perfect suburban afternoon. Her kids were napping upstairs. The neighbors were out back mowing their lawns. Everything was completely normal. But when her 4-year-old daughter walked into the kitchen a few hours later, she ran back out and told the neighbor that Mommy was gone. And the kitchen was covered in red paint. But here's the thing. It wasn't paint. If you stood in the driveway of the Risch house on October 24th, 1961, you'd think it was the safest place on earth. It's 1:55 p.m. The neighbor's kid is out back mowing the lawn. You can smell it. That sharp smell of fresh-cut grass mixed with a little bit of gas from the mower engine. You can hear the low vibration of the machine getting louder, then fading away as he does his laps. Joan Risch pulls her blue Chevy into the driveway. Honestly, she is just ready to sit down. She's been running around all morning. Dentist appointment, play dates, groceries. She is done. When she steps out of the car, she feels that heavy, good kind of tired. The sun is out. She can actually feel the heat coming up off the blacktop through the soles of her shoes. It's a perfect afternoon. She grabs her 2-year-old son, David, and carries him upstairs. It is exactly 2 p.m. We know this because Joan ran her life on a strict schedule. She puts David in the crib. Then she does the thing every parent does. She pulls up the wooden side rail. She listens for it. That solid, mechanical snap of the latch locking into place. That sound is the signal. It means the kid is safe. It means the work is done. Joan walks out and leaves the door cracked open. She goes downstairs. The house is dead quiet. The kitchen is clean. There's an empty whiskey bottle in the trash from last night. Totally normal. But here's the thing. If you walked back down to the end of that driveway, you'd see something weird. The mailbox is full. There are 4 letters sitting inside. Joan drove right past them. She walked right past them. She never forgets the mail. It was the first sign that the clock had stopped. Right there in the metal box. It is 2:15 p.m. 15 minutes after Joan put the baby down. We move next door to the neighbor's house. Barbara Barker is standing in her living room, and she happens to look out the window. Now, inside Barbara's house, it is dead quiet. All the windows are shut tight. You know that feeling. The insulation is so thick it just cuts you off from the world. If you touch the window pane, it would feel cool and smooth against your skin. It's peaceful. Barbara looks out toward Joan's house, but she can't see clearly. There is a thick line of trees between the 2 yards. It's not just a few branches. It's like a solid green curtain. The wind is blowing the leaves around, and the sun is flashing through the gaps. It makes everything look choppy, like a strobe light. But through those leaves, Barbara sees something. She sees Joan, and Joan is moving fast. She is running across the driveway toward the garage. Her arms are stretched out in front of her. She's reaching for something. Now, just think about that picture. A woman running with her arms out. But Barbara isn't scared. She doesn't call 911. She doesn't even open the window. Because her brain plays a trick on her. She looks at that sunny backyard and she thinks, oh, they're playing. She thinks Joan is chasing a toddler. To Barbara, it looks like a game. And because of that thick glass, she hears absolutely nothing. If Joan was screaming, Barbara couldn't hear it. If she was gasping for air, Barbara couldn't hear it. The sound just hit the glass and stopped. Barbara turns away. She forgets about it. She goes back to her day. But here's the thing. Cut to an hour later. It is 3:20 p.m. We are back in Joan's driveway. The sun is lower now, and there's a car parked there. It's an old sedan, two-tone, blue and gray. It doesn't belong to Joan. It doesn't belong to the neighbors. It is just sitting there. The yard is empty. The silence is heavy. And the front door to the house is unlocked. At 4:15 p.m., 4-year-old Joan Risch walks up the driveway. She pushes open the side door to the kitchen. She expects to hear her mom. Maybe the radio is on, or the fridge is humming. But she walks inside, and the house is dead. It isn't just quiet. It is the kind of silence that hurts your ears. And then, the smell hits her. It tastes like metal on the back of her tongue, sharp and coppery, like a handful of wet pennies. Lillian doesn't know that smell, but you and I do. It is the smell of fresh blood. Lillian looks down at the floor. She sees red liquid everywhere. It is smeared on the walls. It is pooled in the center of the room. It is starting to dry. The edges of the puddles are getting tacky and sticky. But Lillian doesn't scream. Her brain just snaps. It refuses to see what is really there. She thinks, Mommy was painting. This is red paint. She steps back out of the sticky mess. She runs back to the neighbor's house, and she says the sentence that starts this whole nightmare. Mommy is gone, and the kitchen is covered in red paint. Then the police arrive. They walk into that kitchen, and the paint idea vanishes instantly. They are standing in a bloodbath. There is nearly a pint of blood in that room. That is like taking a full can of soda and pouring it all over the floor. It is smeared on the cabinets. It is pooled by the overturned table. But then the cops look at the floor again, and they notice something impossible. There are no footprints. Now, just think about that. You have a room covered in sticky, wet liquid. You have a table flipped over. It looks like a fight happened. But there isn't a single bloody shoe print. There isn't a single barefoot print. The floor is a mess. But there isn't a single gap in the redness where a shoe should be. It's like whoever did this was floating. It physically doesn't make sense. And then, right in the middle of this mess, they see the phone book. It is lying on the floor. It is open to the emergency numbers. And the pages are perfect. They are thin, yellow paper. But they are crisp, not wrinkled, not torn. It looks like someone sat down calmly to find a number. But the phone itself? The phone has been ripped out of the wall. It was pulled so hard the mount broke. The receiver's in the trash can under the sink. You have two clues sitting 3 feet apart. One looks calm, the other looks like violent rage. And in between them, a floor covered in blood without a single footstep to show where anyone went. The police are standing in this kitchen. They are staring at the mess, and they start to get this weird feeling. It doesn't feel like a murder. It feels fake. Because when you look closely at the blood on the walls, it doesn't look like a fight happened. It looks like someone put it there on purpose. There were paper towels all over the floor, and not just in a pile. They had been used to smear the blood around. Now, imagine holding a dry, cheap paper towel, and you try to wipe a sticky liquid off a rough wall. You can feel that dry scratching in your hand. It doesn't clean anything up. It just drags the mess across the wall. It makes it look bigger. It makes it look worse. And the cops start thinking, why would a killer do that? A killer wants to clean up and leave. They don't want to make the room look more dramatic. But you know who does? Someone who is setting a stage. And that is when they check the library records. Joan went to the library a lot. But when the police pulled her card, it wasn't just a list of books. It looked like a script. Over the summer, Joan had checked out 25 books. They weren't cookbooks. They were books about people disappearing. She checked out a book literally called Into Thin Air. Just picture holding one of those old library books. You know that smell. That heavy, dusty smell of old paper that hits you when you open the cover. You look at the checkout card glued to the back. You see the black typewriter letters, and then you see the ink stamps with the dates. July, August, September. Joan wasn't just reading these stories. She was studying them. She was learning how women vanished without a trace. Look back at that kitchen, and the whole picture flips. You don't see a crime scene anymore. You see a set. The blood is just a prop. The tipped-over table is just for show. And the missing items, that is the final clue. Joan's trench coat, her nice coat, was still in the house. Her purse was still in the house, but her plain gray cloth coat was gone. Now, if you are being kidnapped, you don't get to pick your outfit. But if you are walking out on your life, you take the gray coat. You take the one that makes you invisible. You take the one that blends in with the pavement. At this point, the detectives feel like they solved it. The bored housewife read the books. She made a mess. She put on her invisible coat. And she walked out the door to start over. It makes perfect sense. It explains every single weird detail in that kitchen. It fits perfectly. Right up until the moment they tested the blood. On paper, the theory is perfect. She faked it. She read the books. She set the stage. She left. It feels good to solve it. But then, the lab report comes back, and it hits that theory like a sledgehammer. The blood in the kitchen? It was type O. That is Joan's blood type. And it wasn't just a little cut. The cops estimated there was nearly a pint of blood in that house. Go to your kitchen, grab a pint glass, fill it with water. Look at how much liquid that is. You can't fake draining a pint of your own blood. The biology doesn't care about the story. If you lose that much blood, your body starts to shut down. And that brings us to the witnesses. Because people did see a woman that afternoon. She was walking along the side of Route 128. That is miles away from the quiet kitchen where her blood was drying. Now, Route 128 is a highway. It is loud. If you stand on the shoulder, you can feel the vibration of the big trucks passing by in your chest. The noise is constant. And the witnesses say this woman was hunched over. She was clutching her stomach with both arms, holding herself tight. They said she looked cold. It was a sunny afternoon. But she looked like she was freezing to death. That is exactly what shock feels like. It starts in your stomach and freezes you from the inside out. And the details get worse. The witnesses said there was red stuff on her legs. But it wasn't dried. They said it was streaming down both legs. Just imagine that feeling. Thick, warm liquid soaking through your clothes, sticking to your skin, running down your ankles while you try to walk. She wasn't running away to a new life. She was stumbling. She was bleeding out on the side of a highway while thousands of cars drove past her. But the thing is, she was never found. The police searched the highway. They searched the woods. Nothing. The trail just stops. And that brings us back to the driveway. back to Joan's car, because the police found one last thing, sitting right on top of the roof. A wire hanger. Just a cheap, bent piece of metal. It looked like someone had maybe changed clothes in a hurry. Or maybe they used it to try to pick a lock. It was just sitting there, reflecting the sun. It is so normal, but it is completely out of place. And that hanger is the last real clue we have. The blood stops at the trunk. The hanger sits on the roof. The phone is in the trash. And Joan Risch was just gone. So, what do you think really happened to Joan Risch? Drop your theory in the comments. If you want more stories that leave you questioning everything, subscribe and hit the bell. New case drops every week. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.